Make It Loud Studios presents Improving Your Digital Marketing with John and Cliff.
All right, Cliffy.
Hey,
Long
what's
time no
up?
see.
Yeah,
Been
minutes.
a while.
Minutes.
Over your sickness?
Nope.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Still?
better. I feel more like a mammal today than I have in
Well, that's good.
a week or so.
You want to feel like a mammal.
Yeah, a little bit. It's nice to, not.
Nice to
It's
mammalize.
not nice to not thinking about, either I'm gonna live or I'm gonna die.
I think you're
Is
going
this
to
gonna
live.
kill me? No, I'm too hard to kill.
Oh, this is really
Too
true.
stubborn to die.
Yeah, too stubborn to die. I don't know about that.
I'm
You
pretty
probably so,
stubborn.
yeah.
We've met, right?
Yeah, we have.
I am stubborn.
True.
Yeah.
So,
What are we talking about?
Well, this conversation comes out of a lot of other conversations from small business owners, and I think I mentioned in our last podcast that this seems to be the most downturned economy for small businesses, particularly that I've
Yeah.
ever seen in my 22 years of business. Would you agree?
I don't know about 22 years, but it's been a rough go for the past 6 months, 8 months, maybe longer, a
Yeah.
bit longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and most of the clients that I talk to are saying, "Oh, I'm not getting enough calls. I'm not getting enough this, that, and the other," and they're struggling for sure. And if you look at the economy, the oil prices, gas prices, energy prices, there's a lot of the division in the country. It's
I
tough.
think I'd even go back further. I think it's been 2 years, or maybe even longer, 2.5 years of
Yeah,
rough. And here's why.
maybe
My 2 cents that election years are typically bad.
they're
People aren't
tough.
spending the same kind of money as who had an election year.
Everybody holds their breath.
They do. And then usually in most cases that I've seen over the years, and again, just 22 years of observation on my part, once it kind of gets settled, whoever wins the election, money kind of goes free again.
Right.
And I think the problem with this particular go around is there was so much upheaval and change during that first term of our president. It did not give people the confidence to spend money during that first year. And
Probably fair.
now, so that's an election year. That's the first year of a presidency, and now we're kind of in the second year of a presidency, and we're at war. And gas prices have doubled in the last 3 months, 6 months, or actually less time than that,
Oh yeah,
about 6 weeks, 8 weeks, right?
yeah.
Here it went from about 250 to we're 380, 389 a gallon now. So, and that's for the cheap stuff. And some of you are in places in the United States that are actually more expensive even than that. Californians, $7, $8 a gallon is possible for the cheap stuff, maybe.
Right.
So and a lot of the clients we work with are service businesses, and that
Yep.
money's got to come from somewhere.
Yep.
So we see a lot of things happening right now, but the end result in these kinds of things is um, people are not spending money the same kind of ways they were prior,
Right.
and that can affect your marketing in lots of different ways. Some small business owners go, okay, well this isn't working, and I got to pull money from somewhere.
Sure.
And marketing seems to be the most likely thing, and that actually might not be the best thing to go do anyways.
Yeah, that's actually potentially the move that can help your business move into a death spiral.
What's a death? We can all kind of assume, but talk specifically about that.
Yeah, I
What do you
mean,
see as a death spiral?
well, let's say you're not getting enough calls. So you're doing some lead gen, but not maybe the right type of lead generation. And instead of looking at maybe where to reinvest that money in a way that will have a better return on investment, people pull it back entirely. So now they're not doing any lead generation and they're still wanting their phone to ring. How does that work?
hmm
You see?
Well, interestingly enough, I think also in the last 5 years, you've seen our culture change pretty handedly in some
Yep.
respects. It's not so much a man-to-man defense anymore. People are not, I think, interacting with each other in the same kind of way. A lot of our sales calls are now on Zoom or over digital, and
Right.
that's just kind of where we are. That's the nature of the beast. But to reach those people requires marketing and not necessarily relationships. So we've
Right.
kind of, where relationship perhaps has decreased in word of mouth and those kinds of things, marketing endeavors in order to maintain the same volume those kinds of things have to increase. And younger generations who've been raised now in COVID, we're 5 years beyond COVID already, more than that. Some of these people are making significant buying decisions and making significant decisions for companies and things like that, or in management. And to go reach those people really does require a digital marketing kind of endeavor in some way, shape, or
Sure.
form. So that can further the death spiral as well. If you're, depending on relationship, it can be hard too. But the question comes down to, what do you do when people just kind of aren't buying as much? You can be at the top of search engine optimization. You can be top of the organic search, or you can be top of paid search, or you can have significant presence in social media marketing. And if people aren't buying, it kind of doesn't matter what position you're in
Right.
some respects. So what do you do in a situation like that?
Well, I think we've had a constellation of issues collide at the same time. ChatGPT went live November of
Right? AI,
2022.
you got to throw that in there too.
AI is definitely a factor. That has, and then Google went with their AI overview, which has definitely siphoned off some of the traffic that SEO was bringing to businesses. People are now getting their answers in AI, and they're looking at younger folks are getting more answers from ChatGPT. I'm not saying that's a huge source of traffic because, again, the data that is a little varied, but it's not more than 5% at the best. Despite one research showing it's higher, I don't necessarily buy that. I think it's not it's less than 5%, I would say.
Hmm.
So, but as AI and people use AI more, that number will increase, no doubt. So
Right.
you have that, you have the economic issues, you have uncertainty.
And
So
there's definitely economic uncertainty, particularly
for
even where
sure,
employment is concerned. This also affects it all. People are
sure,
wondering, am I going to have a job? Is this going? Is that going? And that's a problem too
right.
in the current market.
Right, right. So, I mean, you've got things that definitely affect consumer confidence for sure.
Mhm.
Whether you're a fan of this president or a fan of the last one, or it doesn't matter.
Irrelevant. We are what we are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And this president's not going away, so there we go. Now we have to deal with that, and that's just we still have to make money, and we have to figure out how to do that. So,
Hmm.
in that sense, what does a company do to survive? There's a bunch of different options out there still that are important. Um,
Hmm.
One, I'm going to tell you that investing in a good website is still a good investment.
Yeah, it really is.
I still see people out there trying to survive with websites
And
that
it's a
just don't
limited
work.
dollar. I mean,
Oh
it
yeah,
may be thousands to have a good one done. But ultimately, if you're doing any marketing endeavors whatsoever, and you drive them to a website that sucks, your conversion rate is probably not so good. You're spending money on marketing dollars, driving them to a website that might be,
which is why we won't do SEO on bad
yeah,
websites.
what it is.
It's
We don't sell disappointment.
no, no.
Not certainly
Um,
not knowingly.
No, God. I mean, because honestly, if you have a bad website right now, and when I say bad, I mean it's old looking, it's poorly designed, it loads
If it,
slowly.
if it hasn't been touched in 3 years, you have to
Yeah,
you have to ask the question
you're dead
about
in the water. Yeah, you're probably dead in the
whether
water.
it's what you need. It probably is not.
But a bad website literally chases your prospects to your competitors because they see your bad website and they go, nope, no trust. You have 6 seconds to tell me, what can you do for me? Can I trust you? And what do I do next?
Hmm.
And that trust factor, people undervalue that. It's not enough to just say, hey, I do this. It's I do this and I do it well. And here are the receipts to prove that
Hmm.
I do it well. Here are the awards, here are the credentials, here, is the time I've been doing it, this long. Because honestly, if you've been doing whatever, 20 plus years, you don't suck at it because
Hmm.
if you did, you'd be doing something else.
Yep.
You'd be out of business and doing something else. So there's that. We have a
And,
deck
and and in
builder.
doing so, I mean, you also want to make sure you kind of amplify your niche or your hook. I think when I sit down with a client, I'm always looking for a hook. Like, what is it that you do? There are 100 electricians out there. What
Sure.
is it that you do that only you do
Right. Unique selling
really
proposition.
well? And those are the kinds of things I'm looking for when we're creating a website and trying to present that. There may not be many car guys who've been, who worked on a VW Beetle from 1970, and they're still working on cars today, and they're working on 2006 Hondas. If you got that kind of experience, that kind of breadth of knowledge, that kind of mechanic ability, there may not be a lot of people that can say that. Been in business for 40 years. That
Right.
that speaks something. And you want to make sure that your unique selling proposition, your hook, is present in your marketing in whatever you do.
Right. Has to be. I just asked a therapist that, and she just blanked, and I was like, okay, I'll figure it out. Because I think she's good at what she does, but I don't
Probably,
know.
yeah.
She's been doing it a long time, so those are the kind of things that we have to start presenting first. And it sounds like we're tooting our own horn. You'll have to at this point. It's critical.
Really true.
Why would I release my dollars to you if you can't tell me very, very quickly why I should? That's an important piece.
Yeah, and
So,
we had a client, a plumbing company, down or up in Maryland that we work with. Wonderful people, and when we evaluated their website, they're like, oh, we just had this website done. I'm like, yeah, it's
well,
unfortunate. I
man,
mean, I'd say about 75% of the time, somebody comes in, sometimes even with a new website. Unfortunately, you look at it and you go, yeah, somebody know how to design a website,
right, right,
and their website wasn't bad, just wasn't great.
yeah,
So we said, it could stand. You'd probably do better if we replace the website. Went through and we replaced the website, and just from the website itself, and we're doing SEO for them now, but we did the website first. But when we swapped out the website, they said as soon as we swapped out the website, I could tell a change in the calls.
boom, there you go.
That's what we're talking about, right? And the nice thing about it, yet does it cost thousands? Yes. Is it a long-term payment of these kinds of things? No. I mean,
No,
most people can recover their costs in that kind of thing very quickly. And especially if it's bringing you more business.
right,
So it's like, if you talk to a real estate agent, they'll say the first thing you got to do is paint the front door of your house, right? That's where it's the first thing people see when they walk in.
right,
And ultimately, the website does that. And you can either spend this money you're going to go spend in marketing and get 10 results, 10 leads for it, or you can spend this money in marketing, drive it to a great website and get 30.
well,
That's really what we're talking about
the
here.
metric that nobody measures is how, and they can't measure it, is how many people see your site and go away. They just go away. They just disappear. They see your site. I mean, you can't measure
Bounce,
the
right?
bounce rate. Yeah,
Bounce
that's
rate.
about the only way to measure it. And interestingly enough, Google used to ignore that metric.
Really?
Oh yeah, page time on site, bounce rate, number of pages read. They used to ignore that until one of the Google engineers went, "Hey,
Huh.
this data tells us if the website sucks or
Huh.
not." Right. That's what. And they all went, "Whoa!" And
Whoa.
overnight, SEO nerds became design nerds.
Mhm.
So because now we used to rank terrible looking websites. I mean, Craigslist, for example, is a great example
Of
of
a bad
it's a
website.
terribly designed website, aesthetics wise and conversion wise, all that. But, who cares? It's, an open
It's a
market.
staple, although I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
Facebook Marketplace has probably taken a pretty significant dent out of their business.
Yeah,
But
oh yeah. But I mean, my point is that, if you're a business, you can't afford to have that at this point in the game because people are looking for that trust factor. And when they hit your site and it looks like it's 104, if it looks like it belongs in a museum, they're gone. They're gone.
mhm.
They're just gone. And that's money out your door
You
right
get
there.
sidebars on your website, you're done. It's out.
Widgets.
Widgets, yeah. You have those kinds of things, that's just the design is so old, it's just not.
Yeah.
People come to your site and they just go, no,
Yeah.
because
If it
how
loads with
you
a
care for your
sundial.
website, and this is why a real estate agent would say paint your door. How the front door is cared for, people believe the rest of the house goes.
And your website is your digital front door.
It is.
So the other piece of your marketing, if you're looking at what to do to help yourself, is Google Business Profile. People absolutely still undervalue the power of the Google Business Profile, and it's kind of surprising to me because what people
Some
don't
people don't
realize.
even know what that is.
Oh yeah,
So step back a little bit.
yeah, yeah. We have
Let's
a
talk about
client.
it. What the heck is a Google Business Profile?
Right.
What the heck does it do?
Fair point.
And so step back a little bit and explain the Google Business Profile, because we mentioned
Yeah,
this in
you're
the
right.
last podcast, right? business owners, particularly small business owners, if you're a plumber, you're in a crawl space turning a wrench or, sweating copper, whatever you guys do these days.
Stealing copper?
Sweating
Oh.
copper. It's a little different. No, we only steal copper at the industrial weddings.
Oh,
So
okay. Those are the meth
sweating
addicts.
coppers. Yeah.
Okay.
So your primary work is your business, and we get it if you're like you go, I don't know what this is, so I don't necessarily. There are people that don't know what it is, so
Okay.
you got to start and
You want me to define it?
wait. Yes. Go
Okay.
ahead. You define it.
It's free real estate for your business.
Okay, I like
It's
that.
been around for
It's free.
years,
Free is
and
good.
basically you can claim it. You're absolutely right to have me define it, because we had a recent SEO client who we claimed their profile for them. They had 2 reviews; they didn't even know it existed. So it's free real estate that Google gives you to fill out completely, put pictures on, put posts on about your business, and fill out as much information as you possibly can. And that's what helps you become visible in the map pack, is what they call it. When you Google something, very commonly you have ads and then a map listing with 3 listings. That's the map pack. You'll see that's where reviews are. You want to go check somebody's reviews, that you go to their Google business profile. And you'd be amazed how many people have no systematic way to get reviews, and that's a critical piece. There's no, posts. There's no, nobody responds to the reviews when they're on there. There's no real information about the business that way. That's a critical mistake that at this point is just really part
Well,
of being
and on multiple levels too. One, it impacts your ability to show up in search, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
so you want to, if at all possible, show up in the map pack.
And that's a different way of ranking than it is to show up on page 1 in
Correct.
the blue links.
Correct.
That's a different animal.
It is a different animal, and it can be optimized. That's something that we do. Also, it's not expensive to go optimize your
Right.
your map listing. Those are the
Right.
kinds of things we do.
Right.
But on top of that, if you're not paying attention to reviews, that's also a very significant problem. And there are a lot of people out there who have bad reviews. They don't even know it.
Right.
It's terrible.
Right.
It's terrible.
Hey, stop whispering to a deaf guy.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'll stop.
Yeah, that's not nice. Yeah, no, that's an absolute mistake that people make all the time. And there's plenty of other mistakes, not filling out photos. And here's the issue: that Google's looking for you to define your business. Okay, one of the things that's happening all the time now is when you set up a Google business profile, they ask you to do a video verification. Now, it's a hassle. I'm not going to blow sunshine. And oftentimes the video.
It's really a hassle sometimes.
Oh my gosh! I had a commercial roofing company upload his video, try to upload it 6 times before he was successful. So that process is tedious and requires a ton of patience. But he managed to get it, and it's fine now.
Yeah,
But
you don't know whether a human's evaluating it or a computer. And it's
mostly a
computer.
person.
Is it really?
Yeah, I think a person does it eventually. I think a
Really?
computer does on some level.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's mixed. You're definitely right about that. But and to your point also about for SEO, we've worked on ranking a website without an effective Google business profile, and then with
Much more difficult.
ton.
Night and day.
And now at this point, I'm not taking clients.
The ranking factor, it really is.
I'm not taking SEO clients unless they have a Google business profile, or they will let us help them set one up. That's how important it is. Now, let's talk about more importance of your Google business profile. Google Maps now has an AI function. Guess where they pull data from? Your Google business profile. AI, if you're going to want your business recommended in AI, which is very difficult to do, AI has to pull from all kinds of resources on the internet, your website included, your Google business profile, articles about you, etc. That's just a brief list of some of the things, the data points that AI has to go out and research in order to recommend your business. But your profile is a critical piece to that. So that's why we emphasize it so much now.
Well, and let's be clear, it's free money.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, if you go down the website, and I'm generalizing, but sponsored ads are 4 to 5% of the clicks on the page, and then The paid ads are roughly 10% of the clicks on the page, and the organic links down the bottom are roughly 40%. If you do math, you go, okay, 10, 10 and 40 and 5, you're kind of at, 10, 40 and 5, 55.
Don't look at
Sorry, I
me.
had to use my toes for a second. You can't see that, but I was
I'm
counting
pulling
on
out
my
a
toes.
calculator. I don't know what you're talking about.
So of the clicks and then there are another 45% or so that don't click. But so if you actually take the clicks on the page, it's 20% of the clicks on the page are going to that particular section. So it's free money. Why would you not want to go do this? It doesn't cost you anything to at least have a profile, and optimizing the thing is just not that expensive either. It's an ongoing cost, but something we do, and it really just doesn't cost all that much money in the grand scheme of things. And most people can pay it back with a client or two. It's very, very simple. So those are the kinds of things you want to really spend some time on.
Well, and let's throw out some more math. Let's say that you're a plumber and you do hot water heater installation, and that has, and I'm throwing really simple numbers out here. This is nowhere close to reality, but
Maybe I don't
let's
want to
say,
use my toes then.
no, you're good.
Okay.
Let's say there are 1,000 searches for hot water heater installation or hot water repair, and you rank in the map for that. Okay, of that 1,000, okay, like you use your numbers, 10% go to the map. Okay, and you have a 20% close rate. Now you're looking at real money in terms of how many calls you can get right from that one keyword if you're optimizing your Google business profile.
The Google.
And you can, start pulling in calls for that particular service. That's where your Google business profile can be one of the biggest money makers for your business. Now, it's also important that your profile and your website coexist equally. In other words, what's on one needs to be on the other, and that's an important piece. In order to do that video, let me go back to that for a second. As tedious as that video can be, but it's about 2 to 3 minutes. The purpose of the verification video is to verify that you're a real business owner versus somebody trying to get
and a real business owner in a real place. So
Correct.
if you have a home-based business, guess what? You're not getting listed in the maps.
No, I disagree with that. I think
Really?
yeah,
You got a way?
I'm going to tell you that I've changed my perspective on that.
Really?
Even service businesses
Huh.
where they say you're not supposed to list your
Your home.
address
Yeah.
or your home. I'm going to tell you that I think that's bad advice at this point.
Really?
I would
Like
tell
you
you
can do a
list
video,
your address.
upload a picture of your living room, maybe get a
Maybe. I mean, your street address, whatever. I think the issue is they want to prove that you're a viable business. If you're a service business, and you don't list your address, you're already behind the curve. It's 30 to 50% harder to rank your profile in the map
See,
listing.
I thought that, with the that company we had a year ago, garage door company, and he did it 6 times. Like they wanted pictures of his signage and his
Yeah,
mailbox and the
yeah.
van and all these other kinds of things, and they were looking for an office. So you're telling me that you can even potentially get
He
a
had offices.
Yeah, I know.
I know.
And he still had trouble. That's
No,
my point. You're
well,
making my point.
no,
But if
he
you're
was
showing,
able to
you
do
take
that.
a video and you go, here's my kid and the living room and those kinds of things. I don't know whether that's going to get you a listing
Well,
in Google. But there are some addresses that have been grandfathered in too, right?
Correct,
So
correct.
that's another thing. My home address was listed for our company years back, and I have others out there
But we
too.
worked in your basement.
We did.
So, I mean,
But it wasn't a problem back then
no,
either.
no,
It was
no.
you could list a home-based
Easier
business
days.
without any
But Google has
difficulty.
evolved just like the rest of us have, and they realized that a lot of businesses started in somebody's
Work from home.
garage, in
And
somebody's
more
business.
people are working from home
Correct.
these days
So
than
COVID
anyways.
eased that, I think, a lot. So I think that, nowadays I'm telling people, we got a junk removal guy. I told him, list your business, list your address.
Give it a
It's
shot.
okay. I mean, in all the years, 17 years I've been doing this, I've never heard somebody list their address and have somebody show up at their house going,
No,
"Can you
actually,
remove junk from my house?"
I had somebody show up at my house once.
Really?
I did. Yep.
Were they wearing pants?
Yeah. What
Well,
a
you never
weird
know
what a
these
weird
days.
question.
It can happen.
Now,
No,
whether I wore pants answering the door or not is a different
Hey,
story.
what you do in your living room is
I
up to
know.
you. That's not my business. But no, I think that's one of those things that if you're looking at what to do to market your business successfully online, besides the website, the Google Business Profile is your absolute next best investment. Absolutely.
Yeah.
you know? And the other thing that, okay, let's look at how to drive more traffic to your business. Your website's your digital front door. Your profile is, still a factor, but if you think in terms of how people search nowadays, younger people are going to AI, ChatGPT, and on the others. They're saying, "Hey, give me a whatever business this, whatever they need." Once they get a list, what are they going to do then? They're going to go to Google and they're going to look at reviews. And if you haven't responded to reviews, now if this is how I do it, I go and I look at the bad reviews first. I look at the bad reviews and I think to myself, is this person a nutball? Okay, if I think they're a
A lot
nutball,
more nutballs out there than ever.
so many nutballs,
Yeah.
so little time. Nutballs compared to therapists, the nutballs outnumber. It's 10 to 1, but whatever. Then you look at the response of the business of the bad review, okay, and see how they responded professionally, not professionally. That helps me evaluate whether or not I want to invest my dollars in that company or not. So that's a common process of how people go and use AI to get a name. Then they go in and they directly look at the information. They look at the website. Can I trust, whatever's on the website? And that's how they begin to evaluate whether or not to call that business. So that's a factor of it all. So if you're not managing your reviews, getting
Mhm.
your reviews, that kind of thing, and your profile, the review numbers, they matter, but the consistency of the way you get reviews is also matters.
Mhm.
So you can have the map pack, and let's go with plumbers for a minute. I'm looking for a plumber. I got one with 147 reviews, one with 10, and one with 2. Who am I going to click on? The 147 is going to get the click,
Absolutely.
typically. All right, let's another scenario. Same thing, plumber. I look for a plumber. I've got one, and let's say they're all rated 4.8 or 5, something around there. I've got one that's got 147 reviews, one that's got 100 reviews, and one that's got 5. Well, the 5 is already ruled out. But the one with 100 has gotten reviews on a consistent basis. Now, you as a viewer are not going to notice that, but they're going to rank better than the one with the higher number
Mhm.
of reviews because Google looks at the consistency of your reviews. So if you get one every, fourth quarter, that's going to negatively impact your profile versus a company that is getting them consistently 2 a week, 3 a week, whatever a week. Then that's a factor. That's a ranking factor for your profile, right? So are the pictures, the number of pictures that you add. Those pictures need to be about your team, your business, inside, outside, your signage, your jobs,
Mhm.
before and after on your jobs, that kind of stuff. Those are the pictures that Google's looking for. Are you posting regularly? Are you posting different
Mhm.
types of posts, offers, just information, that kind of thing? These are the things that are ranking now or helping your profile rank well.
Mhm.
And that's the stuff we
Well, and again,
do.
it doesn't cost anything to go do, so you're on a budget right now and things are tight. This is something to go do when maybe not most, I don't know. Maybe most small business owners don't even pay attention to
That
the
I think
thing,
that's more true,
and that's
and we'll do it for
unfortunate.
you.
I know that, yeah, and that's something that, again, we provide a service for that. It's not a lot of money,
No,
and we can
and
help you with
worth
those
it.
kinds of things. I know I left a negative review on somebody because of their driving one time, and, I was driving down I-85 from up north somewhere, and this guy just flat out flew by me and cut me off and almost caused an accident. I'm like, heck, he's got his logo on there. So I went and Googled him, and I went and left a negative review. And I came back, and Cliff goes, "Why would you do that? You shouldn't do that for somebody." Well,
Yeah, still,
if you look at the negative reviews, they're all about his driving, which was
I still don't think
hilarious.
I still
Was
don't think
but you
that.
wanna but again, you wanna pay attention to these kinds of things because they impact your business.
All right, let me tell you a counter story. We had a client we were working on with SEO. I can't remember what he did, but 9 a.m. I see this negative review come in, and I'm like, And it was about. It said the owner of the company made a mistake. I confronted him about it, and he flipped me off. And I'm like, there is no way in hell this owner did that. So I called him and I went, hey, you got a negative review, but this is what it said. I went, I don't think that's about you. He goes, well,
Well,
turns out it was a road rage thing. He cut me off, blah, blah, blah. I went, did you flip him off? First he goes, no. And then he paused and he went, yeah. And I went, okay, I get it. I'm an Atlanta native. I get what it's like to
mhm,
drive around here. So I'm not saying I've never flipped anybody off, but I try not to make it a habit because a lot of Southerners carry guns, and that's just not
Yeah, that's
good.
bad.
So, we talked about it, and basically, I was able to get the review, taken down because it had nothing to do with his work. It was absolutely, an attack on his business based on something else,
Hmm.
and that's why I got onto you about that particular thing. But
That's why my,
clearly,
my logo's not on the
right,
car.
right, right. Yeah, okay, so you get away with murder is what you're saying. I
I'm
get
not
it.
saying that. No.
Okay, sure. But no, I think but that is one of the most undervalued pieces of property that Google gives you free. You can absolutely make money if it's well optimized and well done. And it's not brain surgery or rocket surgery.
So, there are other things that I think you can do on a budget. Um, like we have SEO programs that kind of start lower. We're trying to help small business owners where it might have been $1 here. They're a lesser dollar now in some respects in a smaller service area where
Right.
there's scalability is possible with search engine optimization. And I would tell you to figure out how to invest in something,
Yeah.
right? You don't want to. Cliff talked about the death spiral earlier. When you're in a situation where money is tighter, you don't want to pull back completely. And if the money is present, I'll tell you what, you want to go invest.
Oh
Like
yeah.
now is the time to go invest to make
Correct.
sure that you continue to have a steady flow of leads coming into your business. But that can really make the difference. And it's easy to look at your bank account and go, okay, well, it's smaller than it was, and maybe I need not go do this right now, but maybe you need to keep the money flowing into your business. And I think it's very easy to go measure your business by your bank account.
Sure.
Do
Sure.
I have the money or A, I don't. And I think during a season like this, it's time for a different kind of measurement.
Well, I think the issue is A, that you measure, and B, I think in times when the economy contracts, uh, first of all, the big question I have is, are your competitors contracting? Because if they are, that's an opportunity for your
Correct.
business to capture market share, search market share in terms of SEO for sure. And maybe it's pay per click to be on page one versus SEO. That it doesn't matter. You need to be on page one. Particularly if your competitors contract, you need to go ahead and spend because
Hmm.
that puts you where you need to be at the time, the best possible time
Hmm.
for people to find you.
Well, what I was thinking also was that it's time to start evaluating things by return on investment
Correct.
instead of your bank account.
Correct.
So if you're evaluating, we talked about a website, making sure your website is good, and websites aren't ridiculously expensive. Do they cost thousands of dollars in many cases to get the right one? Yes, absolutely they do. But it's a one-time payment, and then you're just paying hosting, and it's not expensive beyond that. But if your service if you're a septic guy and your service is $8,000 and you're making X amount of profit on it, you're essentially trading your work for a piece of digital marketing. You have to you go, okay, so if I go do a new website and I get one more client, it pays for itself.
Correct.
And then you have the thing, and ad nauseum, people continue to go and click and have a good experience. And again, back to that, but people spend so little time on a website, you can't afford to have one that's bad.
Right.
6 to 10 seconds, people are making a decision about whether or not they're staying and whether or not they're going to use you just by the aesthetics of the thing and where your phone number might or might not be placed. So you have to think about these things, not just by how much money is in your bank account, but how much potential you have and how much the return on investment is for something like that, and evaluate it that way. Okay, if I get two additional clients this year, guess what? It's paid for.
Right.
Will you? Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, let's be real. Marketing has always been a gamble. It's
Well,
always
it
been a
is a
trip to
gamble. There's
Vegas.
no question
The,
about
the,
it.
the key of marketing is working with people who are working with you to get that return on investment. And I don't know a single marketing agency on the planet. Well, yeah, I do. That most of us want to help you make more money.
And that's
Okay.
why we're here,
Right.
and we take
Although
that very
I
seriously.
say that, but 75% of the people that walk in our shop have been burned by
Yeah, it's
people
really
in our
true.
industry. So we are definitely of that mindset that if it's not working, we want to pull it and figure out what can give you a
And I would
return on
tell you, the
investment.
larger the company, in some respects, the more your opportunity to kind of be screwed. And
You think?
yeah, I really do.
See, I think it's a midpoint. I think there's the freelancers
And not that
that
there
don't
aren't
care.
freelancers who don't do the work
Correct,
either.
correct. Yeah,
But I think the larger companies are outsourcing to the Philippines and
yeah,
all these other
yeah.
things, and what the work that comes back is bad. And they may do, when we have people all the time who are reaching out to me going, hey, outsource your SEO to us,
Right.
and they're doing it in another country. They may not even know where Atlanta is.
Where is Atlanta?
It's in Georgia,
Oh,
last I
okay.
checked.
Yeah, no. It's where I was born. I
It
get it.
is. So you want somebody who's credible, and one of the things I get to be able to say to a client is, when you interact with us, you interact with the people who are actually doing the work
Yeah,
hands-on, and understand something about your business and the area in the United States, where other agencies, I think, that are larger, are by and large outsourcing a lot of this stuff, or have been,
right,
to other people in other places, and spending pennies on the dollar and trying to keep a client, um, versus really actively engaged with the client in their work.
sure.
And that's, again, a difference. Not to say that there aren't, individual owners out there who are kind of taking your money and not doing the work either, but if you tend to be more of a number, you tend not to get the work you need done.
And we're aggressive. We're just aggressive about it all because we
We are.
want you to be profitable. It's a simple business model. You're profitable, you're going to keep paying us when that makes us more profitable. So,
Yeah.
duh.
Yep.
It's
Yeah, that's
not.
how it goes.
It's not magic.
No, it's not magic. It's not. So I would tell you this, in a rough economy like this, you want to start evaluating things by the return on investment. Are you going to get your money back? If I get my money back, will it continue to help me market in the days ahead? And yes, it will. In most situations where somebody's actually doing the work to do digital marketing. So you need that. You need a different measurement of how to go invest, and you need to not just pull back completely.
Right.
You have to kind of evaluate what's affordable, and perhaps reevaluate what's affordable in some respects, to continue to have a flow of business
Right.
in.
Yeah. Pulling back completely guarantees that your phone isn't going to ring.
100%.
So that isn't exactly the best option. So,
Yeah.
what about networking? That's a tough one to
We've had a
me.
lot of conversation about that stuff
I know.
recently.
I know.
I was the mad networker.
Yeah. So was
I
I.
mean, 10 years ago, and I
7
was in,
groups a week at one point.
absolutely. And I kind of pared that down to one because it seemed like it wasn't working
I
so
pared it down to
well.
none. Yeah.
That's that's
That's
the death
less.
spiral of networking.
That's
It's what it is.
well, I mean,
I still do it.
that was
So,
COVID, and I ended up needing to be more hands-on with everything. So
networking, if you have a group of people who actually do the referral work,
yeah,
um,
yeah,
and that may or may not be in a networking group.
yeah. It
You
could be
know,
just
I
a bunch of
I
people
tell
you
you, one of
know.
the guys who helped us get our business started, his name's Luke Mullins. And Luke, if you're out there watching, you're amazing. Love you, brother, and thank you for your help. He
Good
worked in a
dude.
sign shop, and
Good
I
dude.
print up flyers. He makes sure every client who came in got a flyer and got a conversation about my business. And I got a ton of work out of that. Guess what? Put food on the table, help make it loud established. And if you can find people like that who are willing to help, and perhaps even in a reciprocal kind of relationship. I got a guy that walked in last week, Josh, who does merchant services. He's doing cold calling and things like that. I'm like, dude, if you would just look up their website, and if their
Yeah.
website sucks, or they're not doing any marketing, but you can have that question, there would be a great kind of symbiotic relationship. And I'm willing to even pay the guy to go, bring a client. If it sells, I'm happy to go cough up some cash for those kinds of things as well. So you can look for people like that who are in symbiotic kind of businesses too. It doesn't have to be, um, in a networking group, but it can be situations like that where you've got some people who are traveling in the same circles of folks that you would normally travel in to
Yeah,
go sell
they're
some
aiming
work.
at the same target
They
market.
are.
That's the
They are.
beautiful part of it. So yeah,
Absolutely. And for us, I'm able to go talk about him as well. People come in and it's like, hey, how are you doing on your credit cards? Because credit cards are ridiculously expensive. We can take your credit card expenses from, $20,000 down to 15. You've got a little more money to spend in marketing as
hmm
well to help you out. But networking groups have not, at least in my experience over the last 5 to 7 years or so, have not yielded the same kind of result
Yeah.
that they once yielded. And I remember we used to teach at the Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce years back, and I can remember talking about this. Um, and I'd ask people in the room, I go, what's your unique selling proposition? What is it? And most of them said this: we give personal service. If they have a question, they can call us. If they, they can, we show up, we do this. And most of those people would still do that. And my response was always this: but what if people don't want to interact with you? And that's kind of where we are now in the post-COVID world. The size of my world has shrunk for
Yeah.
no real reason, but you just don't interact with the same number of people anymore.
Some people just want stuff done. That's it.
Younger generations, my kids don't know their banker. They have not perhaps been in a bank. I had a client who was younger, who was a chiropractor, came in. I had to show her how to write a check. No joke. No
Okay, to
joke.
be fair, I just wrote my first check in, I don't know, years?
Yeah.
I mean, years
Still write it
to
to
get
the
my tag.
IRS.
Yeah.
Get your tag, yeah.
Yeah.
You can do that by credit card now, though. It's not hard to go do. But
I went in there and talked to him and wrote a check. And I even said, this is the first check I've written, and it was the last check in the checkbook.
no, I'm not going through it. Yeah, tough business to be in if you're a check printer.
Yeah,
But,
to be fair,
I used to write checks all the time, and now I go through a book every 2 years. It's like that.
Yeah. To be fair, I hadn't written in a while.
No, that's really true. My handwriting's now terrible.
I had to go slow.
Have you gotten to a place where you look at your handwriting and go, what is it that I wrote? Because my penmanship is so bad.
My handwriting's always been bad. My penmanship's better left-handed than right-handed.
Is it really?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
I'm dominant right hand. So
Well, that's kind of weird.
isn't it? Yeah.
Anyways, all that to say, people aren't interacting in the same kind of capacity that they used to. I know, and again, downturn in economy, my networking group for the last 15 years has yielded over $1 million, and this last year it was 450. That's
Wow, that's a big hit.
it's a big hit. It's 1 and 2, just about. And it's not that these people aren't working it, but it's changed.
Sure.
It's just changed. One of the guys in my group, who happens to be a plumber, and plumbing is kind of a recession-proof business. You need a plumber, you got to have one. And I asked him, I said,
Your shitter doesn't work, you need help.
right? Absolutely. So I asked him, I said, so has the downturn in the economy affected you? He said, well, we see a little downturn in business, but more people are using financing than they've ever used.
Right.
So these are the kinds of things that are implications as well. And you need to understand.
Which is a little bit of a frightening concept to take on debt for,
It is.
that
But it
kind of
might be
stuff.
the right thing to do. It might be the right thing to do for marketing to get you bump started back where you need to go.
No, from a business standpoint, it's brilliant. I think that's brilliant. So, but from a consumer side, that's the frightening part.
You may want to finance your website. If that's what you need to go start to bring in business, that might be a wise expenditure. Now, long term, I don't know about that. You got to evaluate your money and those kinds of things, and again, returns on investment, and decide whether you want to go do that. But those are viable and possible options.
Sure.
Anything else people should be doing?
Oh, those are the biggies, I think.
The last thing I could think of that marketing on a budget and in a downturned economy, it kind of comes down to this: is, are you talking about yourself online?
Yeah.
So I'm not talking about posting to your Facebook account.
That's what everybody thinks about.
Posting to your business Facebook account. I'm not talking about that.
Yeah.
What I am doing is I'm talking about your business to your friends on your personal account.
Right,
Are you talking about that? Sometimes I just go and post about what I'm working on at work, and somebody, they put the dots together. Oh, you know what? I need something like that, and it can be a viable opportunity. And perhaps people are glad to know what kinds of things you do, because there are a ton of us out there that would love to support American-based small business owners, and to see them prosper. And guess what? Your friends probably want to see you prosper too.
Of course.
So you want to, they may just not be thinking about you, right? And as having done that, oh, that's right, he does that, and you wind up getting the work. And I've had friends from high school and things like that kind of visit me and say, hey, you know what, I need something like this, and we've gotten work out of those kinds of things too.
You had friends in high school?
2.
Oh, okay, good.
And you weren't one of them.
No, I wasn't.
Still barely a friend.
Right. I'm more than that. I'm a brother
No, please.
from another mother.
Kind of true.
Yeah.
we each didn't have brothers, so we're all we got.
Yeah, exactly. That's
So
right.
good conversation,
Yeah.
but don't throw it. Don't throw marketing away.
No.
During this time
No.
again, put
No.
yourself in a worse position. And to do nothing is really a problem for the days ahead.
It
You have
really
to
is.
continue to be investing in digital marketing
And there's a
in
ton.
some capacity.
There's a ton of fear-based articles out there. Every year I read at least 4 to 5 SEO is dead articles.
And
And
I say it all the time.
90% of them are follow it up with, no, it isn't. Everybody thinks that. Everybody talks about that. No, it isn't. In fact, I said this last podcast. I'll say it again. SEO is essentially, it's essential for you to get recommended in AI.
And from a statistics standpoint, still the most clicked.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, it's still a viable marketing element, and it still pays for itself far more than it doesn't, depending on the industry. Not all industries are, I would recommend SEO for, and I'll tell you the truth about it. I don't want to take you on as a client if I don't feel like I can win it.
because we don't sell disappointment.
Well, I don't like to lose.
No, that too. Yeah, that really is true.
Simple
Yeah.
as that. I
No,
don't
really true.
like to fail. Nobody likes to
Yeah.
fail. So I certainly don't want to fail clients that are paying me to succeed.
Yep.
So don't want
Yep.
to take that.
So if you're thinking about some of this stuff and you're on a budget, give us a call and we'd be happy to help you at least talk you through. Consultations are always free. We do
Yeah.
them on Zoom. We do them in person.
Yep.
If you're local to the Atlanta area, we'd be happy to meet with you. We're in Beaufort, Georgia, by the Mall of Georgia on Georgia
You walk
Highway
away
20.
smarter.
No, that's what I tell people. You know what? It doesn't cost anything to sit down with us, and I guarantee you, when you walk out, you have a better understanding of your marketing potential and what you should and shouldn't be doing after a call. It really is kind of more of a strategy session.
And there's a ton of people out there who, going back to your point about posting, they think that posting is it. And there's being busy with your marketing, and then there's being effective with your marketing.
Yeah.
Busy does not necessarily equal effective.
Yeah, for the most part, I can tell you right now, if you're and maybe this is what you say right there is perhaps another thing to go do in a tough economy is to go evaluate your
Correct.
marketing.
Yep.
So the most egregious fail I have with clients coming in is they go, well, I'm spending $500 a month on Facebook marketing, and I'm not getting anything out of it. And I go, well, what are they doing? Well, they're posting 3 times a week to my business account. And I'm not getting anything. And I go, one, you're a locksmith, and people don't look for you
No.
on Facebook or
That's
social
awful.
media marketing.
Yeah.
You need to spend your money on Google. So you have to kick it back to that. I had a client in this week who's a remediation company, and he's like, he cleans up floods and mold, and he had somebody tell him to go invest in social media marketing. I'm sorry, but it's a waste of
That's
money.
terrible.
Now I said, just kill that right now. Take that and allocate it correctly.
Yeah, because if
And
my house floods, I'm not going to Facebook.
I'm not going to Facebook. You're going to the Google.
I'm going to the Google, and I want somebody yesterday.
Correct. So you have to understand where people are going to find you. So one, evaluate it correctly, and two, evaluate your digital properties. So again, people come in and it's 3 posts a week, and I'm spending $500 a month on this is usually what I hear, and I'm not getting anything out of it. And I go and look at their Facebook account, and they have 10 followers.
God, that's awful.
So
Awful.
the metrics are, if to your business posts, to your business profile, one, they only go out to the people who have friended you, and two, they only go out to 2% of the people who are following you.
And that business is lightning in a bottle to begin with, because, I'm doing SEO for companies like that, they go on page, we do stuff, they get on page 1, they slide off page 1 very quickly. So, and I'm looking for people that houses flood, and I managed to keep them on page 1 for that particular moment in time,
Yep.
for that particular keyword.
Correct.
So it's, that's a fight right
Yep.
there.
So you need an understanding of these kinds of things, and it is a good time to evaluate your marketing and where you're spending your dollars. And again, you don't want to kill it, but you may want to reallocate it for sure in something that might be far more effective.
Right. Well, doing nothing's not an option, and hope is not an option. Hope is not a
an
marketing
option.
strategy. Fingers crossed. No, that's not
Yeah.
a marketing strategy. That's a fail.
Yep, really is. All right. Good conversation.
Good talk.
Stay in business. We like that.
Yeah, we do.
If you have questions, feel free to reach out to us, www.makeitloud.net. We also do podcasting, if you can't tell.
Yeah, come on.
That's right.
Start your podcast.
Absolutely. We can do that kind of stuff too. If that's something else you want to go do and start to market yourself, we can take care of those kinds of things as well, which is kind of nice.
We should do a podcast on podcasting.
We should do a podcast on podcasting.
Yeah.
That would be very good.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, it would.
All right. We're just the guys to
You can
do
reach
it.
out to us, 678-325-4007. You can both Cliff and I at that number, or John at makeitloud.net, or Cliff at makeitloud.net if you have questions for each of us individually. So hope you're doing well. Hope your business is doing well. Hope your families are doing well. And this has been the Improving Your Digital Marketing podcast with John
And Cliff.
All right. Have a great day.
Later.
Thank you for listening to the Improving Your Digital Marketing podcast by Make It Loud. Be sure to follow, subscribe, and download wherever you get your podcasts. To hear other episodes, visit www.makeitloud.net and be sure to follow us on your favorite social media platform. The views, thoughts, and opinions of the guests on this podcast are their own. The information contained in this podcast is for general information purposes only and is not intended to be legal advice. The Improving Your Digital Marketing podcast is produced in studios in Atlanta, Georgia.